Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a mid-year 2021 launch. This is the Zenith Chronomaster Sport Gold, 41 millimeters in diameter in rose gold and black ceramic. It is 13.9 millimeters thick, and it is 46.4 millimeters from lug to lug with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Even though it's heavier than the steel watch, at least it's heavier than the head of the steel watch, it's easier to wear on the wrist because in the absence of end links, the sub 47 millimeter distance across the wrist makes this extremely accommodating for a smaller arm like mine. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. So if your wrist is as small as 14 centimeters circumference, you can buy this one on the strap and wear in confidence. Taking a quick look, we have a suede material, calfskin externally on a strap that's black with a black stitch, a sheer cut side showing thick construction, and then, as is common with modern Zenith straps, rubber on the underside to isolate the leather from the heat, sweat, moisture, and grit of the wrist. Note it's a brand new Zenith factory strap, and it's paired with a Zenith factory deployant clasp. Rose gold, double deployant. You can see it features a teardrop profile to the buckle that actually matches the lugs quite nicely, and a double deployant, less demanding on a small wrist. I find that single folds tend to pinch wrists, double folds are less likely to do so, so I'm happy to see one here. Taking a look at the case, you can see the lug hoods are satinated, but the bevel along the flank, as well as the case bands and the squared off end of the lug, all of high polish. On the wrist, the watch actually looks quite a bit thinner than it is. We have vintage-inspired beveled pump pushers and a star, a Zenith star, on the crown. Note the use of a little kerf underneath the crown so you can more easily dig your nail in. In spite of the fact that it's a push-down crown with pump pushers, the watch is 100 meters water resistant. You can see that's verified on the reverse side. Taking a quick look at the bezel, you can see it's not a tachymeter. It is a 10-second scale. It's made of black ceramic for scratch resistance, and between the sapphire and the ceramic bezel, those are the surfaces that are more likely to come in contact when contact is made between your watch and a door or a shelf or a wall. So they're very scratch resistant. Sapphire and ceramic are going to keep your watch looking great. Now about that scale, this is the striking 10th complication that Zenith debuted back in 2010. Historically, the El Primero chronograph has always been able to resolve to 1/10 of a second, but on a tiny scale, it can be difficult to read the fractions. So what Zenith did was it created a scale on which you could read whole seconds and then fractions across a broader angular sweep, making it easier to read, for example, 2 seconds and then 2/10 of a second in addition to that. So, the watch has a spectacular foudroyant that looks absolutely awesome and animates the dial. Of course, the watch does include a running seconds display, and when the chronograph is running, there is a separate 60-second display, so you can keep track of individual minutes, and then there is a 60-minute calibrated minute scale, which I like because most chrono minute registers only go up to 30. Now, we do have rose gold hands, rose gold Zenith star, and rose gold applied indices. And I'm going to turn the light out so you can see that the watch is fairly well loomed. As a sports watch, you would expect that. The dial is a sort of opaline white. It's a soft white, but it is a true chalk white, not a silver white. Also, take a look at the overlapping tritone registers. This model and its steel counterpart have been compared to the Rolex Daytona, and there's definitely a resemblance. But I would say between the case shape and the overlapping registers, those are the two elements of the watch that look most distinctively like Zenith watches of the past. Now, a feature we have that past Zenith movements did not have, if they were El Primeros, they generally did not include a hacking or stop seconds function. Caliber 3600 has that here. We also have a quick set system for the date, which you can see in a little stepped window down at 4:30. Turning the watch over, you can see that caliber 3600. What doesn't change? Well, it's still a 10 beat per second, 36,000 vibration per hour, automatic winding, column wheel lateral clutch chronograph. And you can see that blue column wheel interacting with the lateral clutch. The column wheel feel is exceptionally crisp and refined. Changes from the previous El Primero, though, include 10 extra hours of power reserve. It's now a 60-hour power reserve. The standard 31 joule movement becomes 35, and the escapement here is made of silicon, so both the wheel and the anchor are made of silicone. It's unlubricated. It is a long endurance, low wearing, low friction setup that improves chronometry, but also the intervals in between service. And of course, the movement is all matte gray, satin gray, with only a few polished highlights. Note that the watch features both fired blued screws and polished screws. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this 41mm rose gold and black ceramic Zenith Chronomaster Sport.